The IT admin.
All right, so we'll do a much more intimate setting. So, have you ever designed a game?
No.
Do you want to design a game?
Not really.
Not really.
I just think you guys are cool.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
Okay, well, okay, so, have you ever tried, okay, well, here's a more broad question. Have you ever attempted, or do you want to try to take on like an independent project, like art, videos, books, anything like that?
Yeah, maybe. I've used to make music videos all the time.
Right on,
Yeah,
right on.
and beats and stuff.
Right, right. Okay, so, I mean, basically, you could basically replace, so you finish making your indie game and you think you're done to, the game portion you can just basically say your independent project. One of the biggest pitfalls for any project is you think that, and I'm guilty of this too, and this is, Ultra Confusion is absolutely 100% guilty of this, is you create a product and you think, shit, it's going to speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did something awesome and people are going to flock to me. It doesn't really work that way.
Unless you're lucky.
Unless you're lucky.
Like
right?
Angry Birds or Flappy Birds.
Yeah.
I get a few random
But-
hits here and there.
but-
Those are rare.
See, Flappy Birds is an interesting subject because Flappy Birds took off like crazy, made the dude millions upon millions of dollars. But that game had actually been out for a year. What
yeah.
happened was, and this is a dangerous thing, but the game's shit. I mean, it's absolute crap, but it's really easy to play. So what do you do? So what happened was Flappy Birds was actually released a year before it caught fire. Somebody out there that apparently had some pull within social circles said, oh my God, this is the worst game I've ever played. And people are like, oh, well, I gotta check this out.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it just snowballed. Everybody had to check this out.
How much money did that guy make?
I think he finished off with $3.9 million.
It was a couple $1 million. I remember around $2 million he actually pulled it from the iOS store.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want all that publicity because people started contacting him and basically...
Well, actually, the weird thing was that they started, he actually started getting threats. That's really why he
Because of the
removed it.
game?
Yeah, well, it's because some of the art in there is an absolute 100% ripoff
Yeah.
of, I mean, all those pipes, that's Super Mario Brothers. I mean, there's no answers or buts. Those are the Super Mario pipes. But a lot of people are like, you know, you've got all these, because what happened was once everyone started playing, oh God, this is the worst game in the world, everybody started giving him 5 stars. So the assumption was that he was basically paying, which is not unheard of, he started paying people to basically go onto iTunes and give it a 5-star rating, say it's the best game ever.
Which companies do?
Which a lot of companies will, or a lot of individuals will reach out to companies, especially in China. China has, I mean, that's where they make their money. I mean, you got gold farming in games, and this is basically just a different type of gold
5-star farming.
Yeah, 5-star farming. So you get those lucky people. The vast majority of people, you have to do a hello,
Hey.
come join in on the conversation.
Let me see if I can find a seat.
Yes, I know it's packed in here, guys. Oh my God. Okay, so we were just kind of just chit-chatting and saying, you know, you've got you can basically replace, so you finish making your indie game, you think you're done, with basically, so you finish making your indie project. And basically, it follows along the same lines, technically. Yes, of course, you know, there's different avenues you have to go through if you're an author or a movie producer or whatever. But for the game aspect, the vast majority of the time you're not going to make a Flappy Birds. Though, like I was saying before, Flappy Birds is actually out a year before it actually caught fire.
Basically those one-hit wonders.
Oh, it was up for a whole year?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, what happened was somebody with social pull came out and said, oh my God, it's the worst game ever. And look at the rip-off art that they stole from Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And then it just started an avalanche, and everybody started jumping on. And then he got like $3.6, $3.9 million. Then and about like the 2.8 mark, he actually pulled it from the iTunes store because he was getting death threats. Because people were saying, oh, dude, you're cheating the system, you're paying people to give you 5-star ratings. The funny thing is, he actually wasn't, but he was, you know, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, the vast majority of developers are socially awkward individuals, and if you push them hard enough, they will disappear into the background.
And he was like from Vietnam too or something, right?
Huh?
Wasn't he from like, an Asian country like
Yeah.
Vietnam or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't want all the publicity. so
And
he
if
started
it was
doing
out there for a year, it's like he didn't even expect it to be.
Right, absolutely. He had basically thrown in the towel. But the thing is, with your independent project, you are very, okay, like I said, Flappy Birds was out there for a year. So technically it wasn't a success. It was in the end, but it wasn't that overnight success.
Right.
That, you know, so many people think,
It was overnight success. He just had to wait the year.
right, exactly.
I'll wait a year for $3.6 million.
Absolutely.
That's a good return on investment.
But the thing is, you know, you're more likely to not have that than become the overnight success. And you know, one of the things, and I'm guilty of it as well with Alter Confusion, is that you get so wrapped up in your work that you think, oh my God, this is an amazing product, people will flock to it. But it's just like the Ouya. It could potentially be awesome, but if no one knows about it, no one's gonna flock to it. And
I didn't even give the Ouya a chance because I heard it was all free-to-play games, and that itself turned me on.
well, actually, it's not, that's the thing. No one knew about the like they didn't actually know anything about the Ouya because like second or third hand comments, because the first party people disappeared after the Kickstarter thing. So people were basically left to make of it what they wanted to. I got the Ouya before the Ouya officially launched, and it was absolute crap. There was nothing there, and then yes, there were free-to-play games in there that were just junk.
That's one of the problems, because I know a couple people on my Facebook stream got the Ouya on day one and they all hated it. And they're like, man, this is terrible, because there was an issue with the games that were on there at the time, and they're just, for their perspective at least, for a console, I think people were also expecting, they weren't expecting a 360, but I think they're also expecting more than what the Ouya was at the time. And so at launch, there was a lot of, oh, this sucks. It's
So
not
I mean,
a lot of-
the fortunate or unfortunate thing about the Ouya is it is a great example of how to market for a fundraising campaign, for crowdfunding. But the other piece is an amazing example of you cannot go with the thought of the product will speak for itself. Because the Ouya absolutely 100% spoke of it. I mean, that is exactly their problem, was that they're like, oh, we successfully funded it, everyone loves us, now everyone's gonna flock to us.
People don't buy hardware, people buy software. Whereas
But-
the game, you know,
but-
if they said, this is the cheapest way to play Minecraft,
Yeah, absolutely.
then like, everyone would have an Ouya, you know what I mean? Or at least anyone who wanted to, you know, there's millions of people out there that all they want to do is play Minecraft and nothing else. They would have an Ouya and nothing else.
Right.
You could buy a $35 Pi Raspberry and play it on that.
I didn't know that.
It's a sweet little like computer on a chip basically, and it's like $35. You can buy it online, and you can get like the Minecraft edition of it.
Can you hook it to your TV?
Yep, it's got a video out. I mean, it's just like it's that big. I mean, it's a tiny little guy, and people set up like Minecraft servers on this little Pi Raspberry and play it specifically actually for Minecraft.
Yes, anyways. So,
Random tangents is what we do.
yeah, exactly. But like I said, Ouya is the great example of there is so much more. The unfortunate thing is a lot of people think that the product is it. They create the product, that's it.
Well, okay, going back to the Pi Raspberry though, that's I think actually a good counterexample. So basically what the Pi Raspberry is basically, they call it open hardware and open software, where everything's like open documentation. And basically the whole idea behind the hardware, it's $35, and they want people to be able to get it because it's affordable. But the key to them is, you know, they launched it to do the Kickstarter, but it's still heavily invested in and advertised afterwards. You know, they're very big about the word of mouth, you know, especially on, you know, tech websites like, I don't know if you go to like Reddit or Slashdot or ours or any of those. Basically, they're kind of techno websites, and they make sure that whenever they do an update or anything, that it's first thing on those web pages. So like a lot of, Ars Technica is a good one to check out, for instance, like if you're interested in technology, and anytime they do an update to the Pi, it's boom, it's always front page right there for, millions of people to see, or any of the kind of technology websites. So it's a Kickstarter, but they also make sure that the word continues afterwards, and it's become a huge success in terms of sales because of that word of mouth.
Well, I mean, right. One of the things that
No, I want to get one.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Or if you're actually like, I don't know if you've ever been into coding before, or like
Yeah, it
experience.
does in coding. Yeah.
Like, it's perfect actually for people who are into coding. Like, that's the whole purpose behind it. It's really for people to experiment on a piece of hardware to do whatever you want to.
It's like Linux hardware or something.
It is actually. It's built, I think, actually on BSD, like the stock operating system. But that's the whole purpose of it, is really for people. It was really marketed at schools at first, because schools can get these for $35 a piece, and kids can do whatever and try to break it. From a software standpoint. So that's kind of the whole point of it, is people to be able to test on it and go crazy. It's good stuff.
if I were to ever make, if I were to actually attempt to create an independently developed game, my game plan, it's not, everyone should do this personally, I think. If you're gonna make a PC game, what you should do is first of all, you have to have an alpha now for Kickstarter. I would kickstart it, make sure that I have absolutely 100% understanding of what the stretch goals are going to cost me, and if it's realistic for me to reinvent the graphics engine or something of that nature. And then upon successful completion of the Kickstarter, I would immediately go to Steam Greenlight, because that actually gives you an extra boost in revenue.
And eyeballs.
Yeah, and
Get the
eyeballs.
eyeballs out there, want people to see it.
Another thing that a lot of independent developers don't understand is that they have to go to the reviewers. The reviewers are not going to seek you out, because once again, it's one of those things of, if I don't know about your game, I'm not going to know to ask if I can review your game. Now, of course, they've created, there's independent developers who have come together and created like Facebook groups, where it's the indie developer Facebook group. They basically say, hey, I've got this brand new game, everyone check it out on the Google Play or the iOS or this or that or this. That is a great, that's great, but you need to do a couple extra steps, because once again, you're posting to a bunch of other independent developers. That's not really your market. The market you're looking for is the average consumer, or individuals who are interested in your type of game. So once again, you got to reach out to reviewers, you've got to reach out to the news sites. The thing is, you have to be okay with failure, because 9 out of 10 times, people are going to be like, I don't give a shit about your game. I've never heard about it. I'm not willing to put the time into it. I've got X, Y, Z that I have to review. That's where a smaller site like us comes in handy. But then again, we are still trying to put out the word that we review independently developed games as best as possible. I'm actually part of the indie game developer group, simply because I want to know what's going on. Chances are, at this point, I'm not going to review those games, because I've got so many through Steam, which is another thing that I do is I go on Steam, I look at the genre indie, and I look at the brand new releases, and then I try to reach out to the companies that have released. 9 out of 10 times, like, here's a code. Because at this point, I'm pretty sure they can look at the website and go, holy crap, they actually do review our games, instead of...
You just don't want a free key that you can play for free. Sounds awesome.
Which unfortunately is a dirty thing that some people do. They take advantage of a desperate indie developer who's looking to get their name out. So they will throw keys at people even if they don't check them out. And then of course they get burned, because that could be, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it could be an extra $6. Or potentially it could be $6 all the way up to whatever, because if that person was like a reviewer like us, it could actually, bolster things. One of the things that we do is we review the game, and then we put the review on Steam as well as on our website, because we know not everyone knows about Alter Confusion, so they're not going to go to Alter Confusion to check out the review. But what we can do to further help the independent developer is put a review up there and basically give a thumbs up or thumbs down if you want to play it. Now, of course, developers never want to see the thumbs down, but let's be honest, there are crap games out there. The worst game ever that I played was a game called Arcade Slots. I gave it a 1.9 out of 10, and that was being nice.
Well, it seems like for other real games where you're giving crappy reviews, though, usually the developer is pretty responsive. They're being like, well, we understand actually why you gave it a crappy review.
But the amazing thing is, honesty is phenomenal. I've done a couple independent projects, and I've had, you get those like hearty pats on the back. Good job, you're doing great, I love it. But that's not really what you're looking for. When you're trying to create your own dream, when you're trying to create a movie, a song, a book, a game, you want to know where is the weakness? How can I make this better? How can I make this awesome so it actually takes off? Not, it looks great.
But it's also one of the problems you see like independent games get into is their QAing is themselves.
Or their buddies.
Or their buddies. So it's people who already, know the game or they produce the game, and if Charlie's producing a video game, I go, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Instead of being very constructive criticism.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to be nice.
Even if it's your buddy there, even if it's not even necessarily that they hate the game, it's that you made it, so they're gonna love whatever you made.
Right. Well, another thing that you have to take into consideration is when you have people who are testing or proofreading or whatever your product is, after a while they get used to the way you do things, and they become terrible testers because they've grown accustomed to whatever screw-ups you're doing. And I think this is one of the reasons why some independent developers decide they are going to reinvent the wheel when it comes to controls. They want to change up, I for inventory, WASD to move left, right, up, down. Why change that type of thing? Why, choose random ass keys because you want to be cool? And of course, if you got the same people who are testing from day one to launch, they're going to get used to those key sets. And then you put it out in the real world, and people are like, I can't play it. And I've played games where I'm like, I don't understand the logic behind why you would do that. Like, why put the attack button as the O? Like that, we've got a mouse. We can use the mouse. But I mean, that's the, I think,
Certain games set the standard, like even in the NES, you want A to be jump because Mario was jump on A.
Absolutely.
That means every game needs to be jump on.
That's pretty standard. Like on Xbox, it's usually, I don't even know what it is, but it's that bottom one of the square.
Yeah.
That's always like attack. So at least you jump into a game, you know what's going on. Hit that button.
Right. And so
And
let's
now
say
if it's like a first or third person shooter, then the triggers have to be the attack now.
You hope so.
So one of the things is especially if you're doing an independent game, one of the things that you need to do if you want to try to reinvent the wheel, if you want to do crazy ass keys that you think makes much more sense than the set that's been around forever, please, for the love of God, allow key binding. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, it's so difficult, it's so complicated. I'm here to tell you, it's not. I actually did the key binding for a final project at my school, where I was in charge of the controls and the save load system. That was the only piece that I had full contribution to. Key binding is not hard. For the love of God, it is not hard as long as you use the Microsoft Direct Input, DirectX.
It seems like I've seen quite a few games that don't have any kind of key binding ability. It drives me nuts.
Like I understand.
Like the last time I played have you all played Gauntlet? On the old, so It's Gauntlet. It's not first person. It's over the top, and you just
Top down.
Top down. You go around, kill stuff. They had a PC relaunch about 6 months ago, and it's annoying because you cannot rebind your keyboard, your WASD. And so, like for instance, like the special attack button is like Shift, and you can't change it. And it's like annoying things like that where like I can't hit the Shift key while I'm using WASD very well. So I could like never use my special attack. And it's like I can't rebind my keys. And it's like it came from a real actual, it was an indie game. It was a big publisher. I'm like, really, you guys can't make keybinds?
The reason for that is probably because of time constraints. The beautiful thing about doing an independent project is you set your own schedule, your own time. There is no hard, we have to release on this date. Technically. I mean, you could put one out there saying, shit, I'm going to be out of money on June 13th.
I need to eat.
Yeah.
Buy my game.
Yeah.
We'll no longer be able to even afford ramen. We have to launch this game. Sure, that. But, you basically have full freedom. You have full reign, which of course means that all the money's coming from you or for Kickstarter or Indiegogo or...
But isn't one of the problems though? You also have nobody to tell you no. Like, no, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that because it's way too ambitious and it'll never actually work. I mean, it seems like it's a double-edged sword where yes, you have full autonomy, but at the same time, having somebody who can tell you no, that's a terrible idea. That's a good thing too.
So, we're at a convention. This is an amazing place to show off your independent project, whatever it is, and in whatever form it may take. Maybe you're not completely done, but if I had a game, and actually a guy did this last year. I was kind of hoping he was going to be here this year, but he wasn't. At ConNooga, he had, which was really freaking cool. He had his game. It was an alpha build, or maybe a beta build, of the game, which was really difficult. But he had it for anyone and everyone to try it out. Now the really cool thing that drew everyone there wasn't actually the game, but his PC was actually a motorized train on a train track. So it slowly, it wasn't a long train track, so it's basically from the edge of this table here to about here, and it basically just slowly went hit the end of the track and then went back, which is freaking cool. That people are just watching that, but at the same time, it's one of those things that that's the hook. You get them to look at the train, and then, oh, by the way, check out this cool game that this train is playing. Unfortunately,
The train is so cool you might not care about it.
exactly. But they did make one mistake. If you're going to be giving out like cards with information on the game, I know that it's a very simplistic game in the appearance. It was an 8-bit game, so it's just basically colored blocks. So what they decided is they gave you, do I have any of my business cards on it? Yeah. So basically, they gave you about 1/5 of the business card that had all the information on the group. Here's the thing, as soon as you hand me that and it gets in my pocket, it's gone. Business cards are good because people can pocket them, and then chances are they're not gonna get lost, and people will be like, oh, what is this? Oh yeah, that's right. Other people do, the larger flyers, like if you're in the convention hall, you saw the MomoCon flyers. Those are, pretty big, but at the same time, they're small enough where they could get lost and then found again.
I'm less likely to lose this, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth, than a flyer.
Right. You have to show off your product in all of its stages. And of course, you have to be ready for constructive criticism. And you also have to be ready for those asshats out there who just want to make noise. Which is why I don't play MMOs. Because
Long live MMOs.
I'm sorry, I cannot play a game where I'm constantly being berated because I'm not good enough.
It's all about finding the
But
right guild.
I'm just learning the game.
You gotta find the right guild, man.
No, okay.
I've had so much worse, like for instance, you play Smite a lot. I've had so much worse experience in Smite than any MMO I've ever
No,
played.
okay, so Smite is a MOBA for y'all. I don't know if you know what Smite is. It's basically like, you know what League of Legends is?
Yeah.
I do. I haven't played it.
Okay, so Smite is kind of League of Legends.
First person League of Legends.
It's not first person, it's third person.
Whatever. It's not over the top.
It's not over the top, it's 3/4 view, so it's basically following you like this. But one of the game modes in Smite is called Assault. And in Assault, what you do is, apparently Smite has just gone live on Twitch. In Assault, you get randomly assigned a character. I can't tell you how many times I've played the Assault mode and had people go, "Oh my God, you don't know how to play this god. Why the fuck would you choose this?" I'm like, dude,
It's randomly
random
assigned.
assignment. We're playing a random assignment.
Great.
So,
But that's a big problem with a lot of online games. There's a community can definitely make or break that game. As
But
far
one
as
of-
how toxic it is.
but the amazing thing is, if you make an independent project, there's always a group of individuals just like you. If you become an active participant in it, for me, I'm actually we're actually part of the Georgia Game Developers Association. I'm also part of the International Game Developers Association. When you go to one of their meetings, because the Georgia Game Developers Association meets once a month, and there's also an International Game Developers Association Atlanta chapter that meets once a month. And there are other organizations that meet, at different times. I can't tell you how many times you have all these indie developers that show up that are looking for, maybe their foot in the door with a local company or something, but they also have a project. Bring your project. I can't tell you how many people have been able to gain, unique insight on their game. Oh, this kind of looks weird. Oh, you're right. Let me write that down. Let me fix it. When you get a new set of eyes on any of your projects, it's amazing what you can find and be able to refine to make your project better. But you have to go out. I mean, you can't just bottle yourself up and then hope people will come and say, "Oh, by the way, I remember 5 years ago you said that you're making a cool book or a cool game. How's it going?"
Well, I think we see that a lot at this convention. When you look at all the booths and you see, I would consider most of those independent, not developers in the game sense, obviously, but you have all the books in the back, you got people with all their arty projects that I could never do, like the Forge people and the people making glassware and stuff like that. And that's a perfect example of people getting their work out there instead of just having their website parked and you hope people come. I mean, they're out there trying to sell their wares, it's no difference.
And of course, if you're smart, if you're a vendor at one of these and you're showing off your independent stuff, of course, when you sell your product, make sure they get your business card so they can find more cool stuff where they can tell their friends about how to get that cool stuff that you found at the convention.
This convention's probably even better for something like that. Like if I went to Dragon Con, I probably would not notice anyone who is just up and coming at anything.
That's why I like this, because a lot of the vendors stand out to me. They're pretty unique, different stuff going on, and most of them are pretty cool. And I also like it because you can actually stop and look at what's going on there instead of a horde of bodies pushing you out of the way.
Yeah. No, I remember I went to Dragon Con a couple of years ago, and I was just trying. I wanted to do a quick video to show the sheer numbers. And I had security sprint at me. You can't do that. You can't be videotaping. I'm like, why? Why? I'm just showing. It could look bad to Dragon Con. I'm like,
You can't. I understand if it's not an event, or was it an event? Or
no, I was literally just I had my tripod with my camera. I was holding it above the crowd so you could basically see the masses. I wasn't,
This is not leaked footage of anything.
No. I'm in the freaking vendor room. You can't do that. I'm like,
That's ridiculous.
that's the stupidest thing I've ever
You
heard.
can't film real life.
It's like, well, if you had press credentials, I'm like, I am press. You just wouldn't give me the credentials. Well, you still can't do that. Here, I'm sure that I could literally, I could take the camera, and you saw people just randomly, set up video or take pictures of stuff. This is a much more laid back, like Dragon Con, it's like they have like designated areas where is the only place where you can take pictures, but that's never where anyone takes pictures. It's always in that freaking sky bridge. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you have to put yourself out there. I mean, that's basically, that's if there is a way to get yourself out there, you've got to take it. Conventions with like-minded individuals, like this, general fandom conventions. I'm not saying that you should bring your hardcore RPG set in the future to like an anime convention. That might not be the right one to go to. But you know, like a ConNooga, MomoCon is actually kind of opening the door more and more towards gaming. I mean, it was founded at Georgia Tech, so there was a lot of gaming to it, but it was really started by an anime group.
The card actually says gaming on it.
Yeah, it does now. You know, you pick your conventions, you hit up people on Facebook, you hit up like-minded individuals, link share. For the love of God, link share. Reach out to someone who has a product like you or a project like you. Say, hey, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. I'll say, hey, look at this cool thing over there. If you say, hey, look at that cool thing over there. Because the more people, the more you get your stuff out there, the better chance you are to find that your product will be a success. I mean, hell, the best example for me is something called, it was that Kickstarter project I talked about yesterday called Elysian Shadows. Elysian Shadows is an RPG that basically gives you a little bit of Chrono Trigger and some other Super Nintendo-esque feel to it. Their huge hook that caught a lot of attention was, we are making a Dreamcast game. And people are like, holy shit, that is crazy. I want in on that.
Not a selling point for me.
Of course, they're doing Dreamcast, they're doing PC, and then they're doing the Ouya. The thing is, these guys know that they have to continuously keep the word out there. They're doing I don't know if they're still doing it every single week, but they basically do a look in on the developer video, where it kind of gives you an update of what they're doing, what hurdles they've had to surpass, what roadblocks they've run into, what cool new thing they found out about their graphics engine, or maybe their story, or their new location within the game. So they, you know, once you have the people, you got to keep updating them. You got to find. They are batshit nuts. I mean, they're literally programming 22 hours out of the day. They quit their jobs. They are literally just pounding everything out, which is awesome. I could not do that.
Are they Brazilian?
No.
You said yesterday.
Right. There's a huge Brazilian market.
Yeah.
No, there's actually, they're not actually the first one or the latest. There's actually another group that this group hooked up with. That there's a company that actually, if you want to, they will not only give you, I guess, the keys to make sure that your game will be compatible with the Dreamcast, because Sega doesn't care. They don't. But they'll also give you the physical disc. They will print out the physical disc. They'll do the box just like the game, the GameCube, not Dreamcast.
Mixing up your systems.
I know. The Dreamcast, you know, the box that you would have gotten in within like the GameStop. They give you the whole thing, and it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a
I guess
Dreamcast?
No.
you can only do that with like a Sega system then, because like Nintendo would totally.
Oh yeah. The thing is,
much more litigious or-
Dreamcast came out right before like on-disc DRM was a big deal.
Mm.
So of course, you know, there are some games out there that you could find through shady channels and then burn it to a disc, and then you can play it on your Dreamcast. There are also games that you could try to burn on a disc and wouldn't run because the DRM stuff was just starting. So, but there are a couple little things to basically unlock that capability. But the thing is, they are constantly you know, they're constantly around. They're giving you information, which is awesome. For an author, I'm not exactly sure how that would work, though. One of the authors, or one of the writers that I've been following for a while now, his name's Gary Whitta. He's actually the guy who wrote, I don't know if y'all seen the movie Book of Eli. He was the guy who wrote that. He's just starting to write a book. He's also got some unannounced Star Wars projects. But he's writing a book, and there's this new website called Inkshare. And it's basically kind of like a Kickstarter for authors. So what you do is you have, you start writing the book, you give a sample, people can read it, and then they can pre-order the book, and then, you know, hopefully you reach, for every single pre-order. The thing is with Inkshare is once you start, you have to keep going, or you have to return the money, which is, I mean, that's understandable.
It's like Kickstarter.
Right, it's like Kickstarter, but there's no goal. If one person buys your book, well, you're writing the book for one person. It's the contract you sign. I mean, it might not just be one. You might have to get like a certain number. But the thing is, it's kind of cool because they constantly give you updates about how well the book is being written, where the author is. The author will write you a little thing about how it's going, how the characters are shaping up. Here's some of the cover designs for those who want to purchase the hardcover. Here's some free. Here's some. Here's some, you know, extra little bonuses to thank you for pre-ordering so early on. So you know you get those bonuses for pre-ordering early on to the set. But the thing that makes him different than the rest, of course, is that he's kind of a recognizable name. If I write a book, okay, if I were to actually write a story and complete it, because I have no problem starting a story. I've got 10 stories that I've started and then it's disappeared. I've only written one novella, which I should just throw up on Inkshare. Though a lot of people are like, that's not a finished story. I'm like, that's because I want people to read that one and want more.
It's a short story, man.
I know, it's a novella.
There you go.
Anyways, we've now gone 40 minutes here, and I think that basically I think we're just kind of going in circles now.
Any
Any
questions? Oh, that was good timing.
Well, I thought what you said was good. I'm not trying to make a video game right now. I tinkered and I made one in the past, but right now I'm working on like a tabletop role-playing game. And so what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense. I might not go for the video game channel, but basically just be intentional about putting it out there and expect there would be a lot of trial and error.
Well, okay, so tabletop gaming, I actually have a couple buddies who've done that, and we've actually tinkered around with pencil and paper RPG, which is now in complete ruins now because I wanted to redo everything.
Again.
But one of the phenomenal things is it really does depend on your location though, because sometimes depending on where you are, it might be a little bit of a hassle. But when I was in Orlando, there's a place called Sci-Fi City. They literally had just tables for people to game at. And there are comic book stores and there are also gaming stores that have like, you know, gaming night where you can come in, they'll set up tables in the back and you can play. Those are phenomenal locations just to have people test drive your game. Conventions are another place. If they've got a gaming room, and it's
That's
an
not
open,
20 minutes away.
20, it's 30 minutes away, good lord. If they've got a gaming room that allows for open tables, park your ass there, have, you know, some business cards, maybe like if you've got like a graphical picture of the game with a name or something, have it there so people are like, oh, that looks really cool. And then have, you know, just test runs of maybe not the entire game, but maybe specific pieces of the game. Always bring someone in disguise. If it doesn't look like, if you see people looking at your stuff, but they're not sitting down, always have a buddy who will come up as a clueless individual and say, oh, that looks neat, and sit down. Because the thing is, a lot of the time, the hook for those guys last year was that train, to draw people in. A lot of the time, people don't want to be the first, but they're much more willing to be the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, blah, 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 blah. So you have that buddy who comes at you as if they don't know you. That's the key part. You can't be like, hey man, hi, nice seeing you again, let's play this game.
Again.
You know, do your pitch, you know, have your buddy sit down, do your pitch, say, hey, this is my game, let me tell you some of the stuff, even if he knows everything. You want to make sure, you want to be able to voice exactly what's going on, because there's more than just him listening in. And if people find out how easy or how cool the game is, then they might, you know, be like, okay, I'm either going to come back, or maybe there's a way to have more than one player, and people will bite into that. One of the guys, he's on his like third board game now. Shoot, I was supposed to print it out and bring it up here. Oh, I know. What he does is he goes to, oh my gosh, that Meetup app. Meetup. There's a good chance that there's a board gaming or a gaming group that you can definitely, you know, tag along to. Give them a heads up that you could bring, you know, that you can bring your own homebrew game. 9 out of 10 times, people are like, awesome, cool. We'll set up a special area for you. And then you basically you rinse and repeat with, you know, you have someone that you know go to it to start that, you know, basically, you know, the domino effect of people actually coming in and playing the game. And of course, through that, you'll get your feedback, you'll be able to refine some stuff. Maybe some of the rules that you think are simple, people are like, what the f are you talking about? That makes no sense. And you can refine
Yeah, and
it.
the best feedback is watching people.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of times they don't even know what to say. You see what they're smiling at and what they're scratching their head.
So when our pencil and paper RPG was in one piece, I had it in Orlando. I went down to a place called Sci-Fi City, and I was actually in a class called Rules of the Game, because I've got a Bachelor's of Science in Game Development. Rules of the Game, we took a field trip to Sci-Fi City, and everyone was playing, you know, the usual board games. And I brought mine. I was like, you know what, F this. I'm going to bring my pencil and paper RPG. I've got my grids, everything will sit up, boom. So I started playing it with a couple of my buddies. And, you know, people are passing and scratching, you know, going, oh, that looks cool. That really, okay, cool. Got one person join in. But my coolest accomplishment, and I will never forget this, is actually one of the coolest things about that class was the teacher of the class was a gentleman by the name of Dave Arneson. Yeah. Dave Arneson is basically the godfather of pencil and paper RPGs.
He invented it all.
He was him and Gary Gygax created Dungeons and Dragons. So Dave comes up to me, and he goes over. He's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, "Yeah." So like I'm leaning back. He goes, "All right, here's the deal. I just ran a D&D session last night, and I just wiped the entire party. How do you feel about this party?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're okay." He goes, "Okay, this is how you wipe them out. I'm going to give you permission to use this type of hellhound." And he gave you all these stats. He's like, you know, it's got this HP, it's got this attack, it's this defense, and it moves this fast. And he basically just, in his mind, he was able to adapt it to my game after watching me. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, all right. Guess what, guys? They're like, oh no, it's going to happen. But that was the coolest thing in the world for me. And that's, I mean, you know, when you have that, the thing is, when you have the cojones to bring your game to a convention, to a gaming session, something like that, you never know who's going to be there. You could accidentally bump into someone. It could be, well, let's say that you have your game, or you have a book, or a video game, or whatever, and you're showing it off, and you could run in one of these artists here, could be like, you know what, if you want, this kind of looks cool, I could maybe help you out with something, because they see it. that, you know, it's, if you have the courage to show something off, it's amazing what could happen. But you have to be able to show it off. We're learning that. We continue to learn that. We had one of our buddies is a marketing guy, and we sat down with him, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna be." I was like, I want you to be completely brutally honest. First of all, our host for our website apparently is shit, so we're going to be moving it sometime in the near future. The second thing is, the way that I had structured my reviews doesn't really work. People want, it's like with anything, when you're trying to present a product, they want opinionated, short description, top of the fold type of thing, which is a newspaper term where when you get to the newspaper, that the first thing you see above the crease, that's what you're going to read. And if you like that, then you'll read the rest of it. And then, of course, like, don't be afraid to say don't be afraid to add your own opinion to it. Don't, even if you have a terrible time, chances are there are people who have that like-minded individuals. You are never alone with the way that you think about games, about your approach to games. I mean, hell, one of the authors that I've met, his name is Louis Puster, which is an unfortunate last name. But he's written a series of books called the Saga of Ukama, which is an incredibly hard word to pronounce if you just look at it. But since I've met the guy and he told me how to pronounce it, I could pronounce it. He decided to buck the trend of the way that he writes, and he's written an entire series. Well, he's writing book 3 right now, where the main it's through the main character, so it's first person. But when he interacts with the other characters, you have no idea. You only know about the other characters what the main character knows. You don't magically have ESP where you're like, oh, okay, she's thinking this, which is a very, in my opinion, a very difficult thing to do. But he's been able to pull it off. So, I mean, the thing is, if you have an innovative, creative way, it may take some refinement, but don't back away from it if the immediate reaction is, oh God, why the hell would you do that? Is it Reed?
Could be just AC.
Oh, might be AC.
I don't think it's right.
All right, any more questions, comments, thoughts?
I went to your website briefly last night. I thought it was really cool. I just want to say I really like what you guys are saying, especially the talk yesterday. I felt like you were saying what I've been feeling like for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, and I don't know anyone else who thinks this stuff like the main consoles are just going down to shit.
Oh, absolutely.
And the only thing that's going to save them is the indie games. That's the only place where good games are happening. And
the thing is, the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh my God, you can't say that all games are going bad. Well, you're right, not all games, but the vast majority of them, the vast majority of them have fallen into this rut.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is, the publishers are run by businessmen. They're not developers. Vast majority of them don't even like video games. They just like green, the color green, the color of money. So what's going to make them money? Madden 37. Yes. Because it's an established franchise. They can plot out the analytics of how well it's going to sell. They know, they can do all these pie charts and all this if you can create pie charts and graphs and flow charts and all that stuff, you've got a great way of creating a game. The unfortunate thing is, and unfortunately this is how the publishers do it to this day, is that they use a terrible system called Metacritic. No offense, but Metacritic is broken. Simply because Metacritic they interpret gaming scores from other websites that don't use the 100-point scale. So if I do like let's say that I do a for some reason I want to be unique. I do a 1 to 3 star ratio, 3 being the highest stars I ever get. I give a game 2 stars. Metacritic goes, oh, it's a 66. Not technically, it doesn't have to be a 66. But the problem is, publishers utilize Metacritic to see if they want to create a sequel. If you have an 85 or above, you have an 85% chance of getting that sequel. If you have an 84 or below, goose egg.
Wow.
That's the cutoff. So a lot of reviewers constantly have to go after Metacritic going, look, the game's solid. You screwed up our rating. If you can't do it right, just leave us off because you're ruining this company's chance of creating an amazing sequel. And to be honest with you, here's the real craziness. It's only one dude. Metacritic is one dude.
Oh, wow.
And he lives in San Francisco, and he is really freaking hard to get a hold of. Thankfully, Ultra Confusion is not on the Metacritic list. For better or for worse. Now, it would be kind of cool to have us on the Metacritic list, because people are like, well, who the hell are
Look at
these
site
people?
views.
Yeah, site views.
I thought it was a cool site a long time ago, but it felt like
The one thing I do like-
eventually for a while it somehow got gamed or something like that. Like, just as an example, like I've never played Just Dance, but I know it's a really popular game, and I think it got like a 40 or some red score on Metacritic. So obviously there's probably a lot of people that don't like Just Dance,
Right.
but there's millions of people that do. So how did it get such a terrible?
The thing I like about Metacritic though is the user reviews. Is usually
Yeah.
what I'll use it for. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of games I find
That's what I
like that. If you look at that, I bet the user reviews are a lot higher than the critic reviews.
Yeah, that's what I do. Is I go to Metacritic and then I just click the user score. And
And I've never looked at publisher review or game review website reviews of games on Metacritic because of that reason, or it's just some random synopsis.
Well, the other thing is that the unfortunate dirty secret about the journalist is that the bigger the site, the better the chance of you being bought.
We're not big
there-
enough to be bought yet.
IGNers.
Well, IGN has said that they have reformed. I don't know if that's true. I could care less because IGN has been tainted in my mind forever. GameSpot is notorious for this. They actually fire individuals over the fact that at the time, there was a game called Kane and Lynch. At the time, the reviewer, who was very well known, bombed it. Unfortunately, the company behind Kane and Lynch was the big multi-dollar sponsor for GameSpot for that month. So the individual was asked to leave, and it created a huge issue where a bunch of other individuals left the company. As a result, they formed a new company called Giant Bomb, and ironically, here's the real fun part, GameSpot is owned by CBS Interactive. Giant Bomb was just bought by CBS Interactive. So now they have Giant Bomb and GameSpot. Giant Bomb to make them look like people, and GameSpot to continue to hoard in all the sponsor money. Now I have my own issues with Giant Bomb, which I will not go into, but they try to game the system as well.
Right on.
All right, I think that's it, unless y'all have anything else. Of course, check us out on the website. Always, if you see something, you got a question, we got a contact us page. You can comment on any story you see, any review you see. You can if you want to create a login so you can personalize your stuff, you can do that. You can do it anonymously. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we've got our YouTube page. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for at least 30 minutes to infinity, depending on audience participation. We love, the thing is, we are made better when people interact. I mean, as you can see, I can talk forever. I really can.
I just listen a lot.
But it's amazing when you have people adding to the conversation, where that can take us.
So I went to your website last night. Something that I can't remember if this was here, but I know would be useful is that at the top of your review you told what platforms the game was available on.
Yeah, I've got the tag. I should probably move the tags up to the top. They're at the bottom of every single
We're going to
review.
be redoing the website anyways,
Yeah, we're going to be redoing it.
Okay.
so it'll be redone eventually.
But because that's for like me, I may do Steam in the future. Right now, I'm trying to stay away from it. And so
Right,
I
right.
just, you know, there's certain platforms. No, I just don't use that platform. Oh, there's one I use. Let me see if this game's on it.
Right, right. Yeah, we definitely do that. Cool. All right, thanks guys.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.